All right, bought myself some time here with Lucas. So anyways, today I'm going to go over external as well as internal features of the dogfish shark. And so dogfish sharks still belong with vertebrates, okay? Chondrichthocytes, they have cartilage for their skeleton, so we call them cartilaginous fish, okay? So they have no bones. And just to note that we would be dissecting a spiny dogfish, so there are two spines located anterior to the dorsal fins, but a lot of times they have been removed for our safety. So these two share very similar characteristics: fins, vertebrae of some sort, gills, and they do live their entire life in the water. So we've already discussed the perch, or maybe you're watching Dogfish Shark first before the perch, but okay. So anyways, looking at the dorsal surface, okay, we have two unpaired dorsal fins that help stabilize, and then one tailed caudal fin, and a lot of times it's like cut for inserting latex purposes. So here's the here's the anterior dorsal fin, okay, so we'll zoom in on that. And then there's the other pair. So we have an anterior and a posterior dorsal fin. We also have a caudal fin. Okay. Moving on to the belly side, or the ventral side. We have two paired fins, two paired pectoral fins. We also have two pelvic fins down here. How to tell the difference between male and female? You have to look at the pelvic fins, called the claspers. Okay, so males have claspers. And then there's the cloaca. All right, we have eyes, paired eyes, a lateral line for sensory, spiracles. Okay, these guys lead to the gills, external gill slits, and then if you were to feel the shark, it literally does feel like sandpaper. So close up of the scales. Okay, going to the ventral surface, we have the external nares, also known as the nostrils. We have the mouth, and then these little dots that you see here that are speckled underneath and on top are the ampullae of Lorenzini. Again, another sensory purpose. So you can see them on the top here. So here's the external features. Moving on to the internal features. Okay, so we'd rinse our specimen. Like I said, depending on, you might see some parts coming out, but don't worry about it. Well, I guess we really don't have any specimens. We're just gonna move on. Okay. So to make our incision, cut right along the ventral surface here, up. So we're making it basically a giant window. And once we get inside, here we go. So we got these giant lobes of liver, and there's 3 of them. 1, 2, and then there's like a third one that's hidden underneath. This is our spleen, the rectal gland to help remove salt, and then this is the small intestine right here. We have our stomach. There's that spleen again. And then you'll notice that nestled in between the 3 lobes of liver, you might see the bile duct, or the bile duct / gallbladder. So this is the gallbladder, and there's the bile duct that connects to the intestine / stomach. So there's the bile duct. You might accidentally cut it. Okay, so I want to talk about regions of the stomach. So the esophagus that connects to the stomach, and it's kind of this kind of U-shaped structure right here. But the first part is called the cardiac region, and then the second part is called the pyloric region. So if you didn't look at the claspers, you can still identify if it's male or female just by looking for giant ovaries. Females, they have these two very, very large tubular-like structures that look like, well, actually they just look like two giant lobes, like that run all the way down both sides of the shark. But you might see the paired gonads, also known as the ovaries, or the testes. So here are the testes, slender. They tend to be just kind of shriveled up. And the females, it's very large and tubular in shape. So you can see that it runs all the way down the side. So you'd have pairs of these, one on this side and then one buried underneath on this side. So you have the oviduct and then the uterus. And a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but you might come across a shark that was pregnant. So when you cut this open, you might come across yolk or maybe a developing pup like this. And this has only happened once in my lifetime, where we cut open the shark and we saw 4 little baby sharks. And they were all attached to this yolk-like structure. Now they do practice internal fertilization. So a lot of times you'd have to remove a lot of structures of the shark just to kind of get underneath it. But here we have the kidneys, okay? The vas deferens, if this is a male, because we have our testes up here, and the vas deferens connects it to the cloaca, so it can copulate. So zoom in on this. Okay, the shark also has a lot of mesentery tissue, which is just connective tissue to house or keep everything together. And a lot of times I would ask you to take a pick and just kind of pick at that and rip it, just kind of get rid of it, so you can kind of see the structures a little bit better. But again, just looking at the cardiac region of the stomach to the pyloric region, this dark structure is the spleen. We got our small intestine that goes into the large intestine. Just at the very end, there's the rectal gland that helps remove salts. And again, you might see a pancreas, you might not. Pancreases tend to kind of disintegrate in the preservation process. So now we're going to cut open the esophagus and the stomach, see if we can see anything on the inside. A lot of times you don't, but you do get to see the ragae or rugae, the folds that help digest and increase surface area for absorption. Then you would dissect the small intestine. And it's just very smooth, lots of tiny little valves that help push food through. And now we're going to look at the heart and the gills. So you'd have to cut a little bit further up on your shark on the ventral side. But heart, 2-chambered, 1 ventricle, 1 atrium, and then we got our gills nestled up here. Parts of the heart, okay? So atriums, sinus venosus, where it mixes ventricle, gills. Sitting on top, cornus arteriosus. There's our gills, the gill rakers down here. And that's about it.